everyone, it's Carol here at Oak House Journals. Lovely to have you with me as always, and I'm going to tackle yet another Margarete Miller assignment for 2024, part of her collage challenge for this year. If it's new to you, all the information is in the description box below the video if you want to take part. And as I've mentioned, I'm going to do assignment number 40, so I've got my prompts here. A word of warning before we start, I'm not feeling very inspired by the items that I've lifted out to hit the prompts for this particular one. I was struggling, if I'm honest, so I'm really hoping that that will disappear once I get going and start playing with my pieces. Let's go through the prompts. The first one, a written signature. I've got this signature here, and as you can see, it's on a vintage document. This is a further charge, which ostensibly is like a mortgage, and if I open it up you can see what a stunning document this is. So I'm going to use this signature on the back. I'm not going to use this seal here. As you can see, it's beautifully embossed. I hope you can see that. The second prompt is something from mythology or legend. So if I move that to one side, you can see I've got Pegasus here. And Pegasus was born from the severed head of Medusa when it was slain by Perseus. And as Pegasus represents artistic inspiration, I just had to use it on my collage this week, didn't I? So that's for the second prompt, something from mythology. The third prompt, something heavy. Well, I've got these. Now these are puddles of mercury that I've fussy cut out, and I've also got this little piece here which has the atomic symbol and number for mercury, and there's another little blob there. Not sure if I'm going to use this or not on my piece, but I might need to explain what these pieces are. What else have we got? Patterned paper in a neutral colour. Now this is where I'm struggling a little bit with what I've got left in the craft room. As I keep saying, most of my craft room is packed up, ready for our move, but I do have this patterned paper. It's wallpaper, so as you can see, it's got rather a large pattern on it. Not sure how much I'm going to be using of this on my piece today, but I obviously have to include some of the pattern. Failing that, I've got another strip from the same range of wallpaper, and this is an edging strip, and it's got more of a repeat pattern on it than here, or rather I should say a smaller repeat pattern, so this is probably going to be more noticeable, and really perhaps I should use this or some of this than this on my piece today, but it depends how it goes in terms of how the whole collage evolves. Next prompt is clear tape or masking tape. Well, we've got loads of masking tape knocking around the house here at the moment, and perfect match, as you can see, for this neutral wallpaper, so I could use that on my piece. But I've also got some sellotape, and obviously sellotape is clear, so I could use that if I wanted to, so either of those. And finally, the bonus, a bit of yellow. So if I bring this in, I've printed out two images here. This one, first off, is a small one, and obviously it's got some yellow on it, quite a lot of yellow. I'm more interested in that, really, the little moon in the background. Not sure if that's going to be big enough, so I've printed out a larger image so that that is bigger, and now you can perhaps see what a lovely picture that is. As always, I've got my working background here. Because I don't really know what is going to be in the background yet, I'm going to leave this and put it to one side. I'm not going to work with the masking tape or sellotape for the moment, or these pieces. I'm going to go straight in with my signature. So the first thing I'm going to do is cut this out. As I said, I've got no idea at all for this one as yet. I think I will go in and fussy cut Pegasus out. So I'm going to cut this, fussy cut that, and then I'll be back. Pegasus is now cut out, as you can see, and you saw me rip this with my ruler. It's more or less the size, actually it's exactly the size of the width of my working area. Let me pop those out of the way there. I'll reduce this down further, but for now I just want to see how it's going to sit. I thought maybe I could have Pegasus just sitting on top of that curved line there, which forms the ornate part of the D. But if I do that, then his wings are right over my working area. Even if I pull this over quite considerably, he is going to be outside my working area. So I'm wondering about turning it this way on, taking it straight over to my left hand edge and maybe bringing in this, maybe stagger it up there. Seems a shame to lose this bottom part of the signature, but I might have to do that. That means I can just about get the wing outside the working area, but not too much. But the bottom half here, the back legs and the tail, are obscuring this signature too much. So that's not going to work. Let's try the bigger one. Pull it right over. And again, obscuring the signature, but not as much. I'm going to pull this up quite a bit. This gorgeous globe here, you can see there's a tower there, a bigger tower and a smaller tower. And what I want to do is use the head of Pegasus to hide that. And if I do that, then I can get the wing inside my working area and get most of my signature showing there. So that is working. It would be nice to have this staggered here, staggered edge. So I'm going to take away a little from the top. That's looking better, and I can use the wing to break up that staggering there, get all of that signature in. Sorry, I've got my hands in front of everything, so I hope you can just about make out what I'm doing. I need to ground Pegasus on something, so obviously my mercury puddles are the things to use, and that could go something like that. Now I have got another little bit, so I could maybe even pull that up. This is too low for Pegasus to be grounded on, which means that I need to drop Pegasus down a little bit, because there is this curve here which would be ideal for that little bit of the mercury to sit in, and it would hide this bottom straight edge, although I could soon trim that. To get this bubble to sit nicely, I may need to trim that edge away and form two separate puddles there rather than the one. I was thinking I could have something like that. This bubble I could bring on here like this. I need to ground him somehow. This is lovely. It's a lovely part of the image, but the issue that I have with that is that it gives me an awful lot of yellow, and this is where I'm thinking maybe I could actually bring that in and hide it a little bit so that it's not that obvious. You are still going to see the mask up there, but it's not too bad. This bubble would be going off. Yeah, I am going to split this bubble, so let me just do that. Gives me a bit more flexibility to play with this bubble, play with the shape of it rather. This could go in there, and then it wouldn't go off that piece there. I'm going to try it around the other way, see how I like the look of that. And yeah, I'm liking that. Just continues that ripple line up there. This could go in there, and I could actually get the word mercury in then. I think this would be better rather than the bigger sheet of wallpaper, and I could bring it in something like that. So I'm making use of it there. Just going to turn it round so that I've got this torn edge at the top, but I'm going to trim that off straight. That gives me a little bit more of a delicate transition. There's a flower here and another one here. I'm not going to have those on my piece if I can help it. And I think that would work in there like that. I've obviously got this area down here which isn't working. What about bringing that down in there? Again, it leaves me with my issue of having that there, but I could live with that. It solves a problem for me in terms of what to do in this bottom area. And actually, I'm liking it done like that. That's slightly staggered. Okay, I'm more or less there with the composition. I could use this to ground Pegasus. It does leave me with this down here, and I can't really trim that away because of the flourish on the signature, but I could perhaps pull this down that way, work with that, maybe pull that up, pull this down and out, Maybe pull that over like that to get the HG in. Could try and have Pegasus higher up and a little bit more over. This could be in the back here. Yeah, that's how I'm going to have it. Okay, so I'm going to very quickly, before I forget, get some glue underneath some of these pieces to hold them in place for me. Obviously trim off this piece. So this is what we got so far. Everything's nicely glued down. I haven't glued my horse's head right at the top here so that I've got a little bit of movement, and hopefully the same with the wings. So now what I'm going to do, I've got a Faber-Castell Pitt Artist pen, one of the big brush pens, and this is in cold grey. So I'm just going to put a little bit of this underneath here, and it's not really showing, but I was just hoping it might give a little bit of definition underneath there. Maybe it'll work if I do another layer in a moment or two. But whilst that's drying, what I'm going to do is trim off this, because as I mentioned before, I think I'm just going to have a portion of that tucked under here, and hopefully if I position it right, I should be able to get rid of the flowers. So let's just trim this off square to start with. Now I know this edge is straight and that one is, so now I can trim up this one, and I just want to get rid of that torn edge up there, so I'm hoping that this will work. I'm just going to cut it there and cut it there. This bit should just slip in behind like that. Yeah, I'm going to go with that. So I'm going to put a bit of glue all along the back here. Position this in place. The piece of patterned wallpaper is glued at the back there, and I wasn't quite sure how to finish it off so that I could get in either my clear tape or my masking tape. So I decided I would try and accentuate this bottom corner a little bit. So this Mercury sign here, what I did was I took a couple of pieces of this and I created a small frame and mounted that piece on top. So if I flip it over, you can see what I've done on the back, just two pieces, and it just gives me a little border on two sides. So I'm going to glue this in place on here, and you'll see why I've done this in a moment. So I'm just going to put a little bit of glue on here. I'm going to tuck it back underneath where it was before, like that. The reason I've done that is so that it will stand out a little bit more, because I was trying to find a way of using my masking tape or this clear tape, and as you can see I've made a little ruffle here, and I was thinking that might be a way to use the masking tape, but I don't like that. This clear tape, yeah, it'll be lovely, but you will not see it on here. What would have been good was some of the faux vintage sellotape that we make that's got ink on, but that won't be clear tape. Yes, you start off with clear tape, but what you end up with is vintage looking yellowy tape, which would have been fabulous because it would have picked up the gold colours up here, but obviously it's not clear tape. So I've gone back to using the masking tape. I'm not going to use this, I'm going to throw that away, and if I lift up my guillotine here, I've got a piece of my masking tape that I've just folded over, and I've snipped away. If I hold it up like that, you can see I've just cut away a small slither of it, and that slither is here. And what I'm going to do is nothing more than glue it across that corner down there, and hope that that will meet the prompt enough. Now I think that's a little bit too long, so I am going to just snip off the end about that much. Don't really know how much I need, but I'm kind of thinking something like that, just so that I can go across that that corner. So the only thing I need to do is obviously glue that in place, but I'd like to glue this in place onto my background first. So the first job, as always, let me move that to one side so it's safe. The first job, as always, will mean that I have to rub out my pencil marks before I can glue this down. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, glue that down, and then I'll come back in and glue down that little piece of masking tape. Now ordinarily I probably would have put another piece up across that corner to match, but because I've got my horse's wing up there, or Pegasus is up there, then I'm not going to do that. Again, I could put a piece there and a piece there, but I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to leave it as it is. What I am going to do is just use my pencil here just to make some lines, because that big brush pen didn't really give me the definition that I wanted round here. So I'm just going to use my pencil. So there we go, everybody. That's my finished piece for this week. Not the best of creations, but as I said, I was struggling with these prompts a little bit. So let me quickly bring in the prompts and mention to you that, as always, I will do some photographs at the end for you to have a closer look at what I've created. There we go. Lids on all the glue so that it doesn't dry out. And bringing in my prompts, quickly going through those. A written signature, I've got one down here. Something from mythology or legend, well, I've got Pegasus here from Greek mythology. Something heavy, well, I've got my mercury along here and my label. Patterned paper in a neutral colour along the top here, and creating a little bit of a frame behind this label here. Clear or masking tape, well, I went with masking tape down there, and a bit of yellow. Well, I went for quite a bit of yellow, didn't I? I've got my yellow, beautiful yellow moon behind there, and also these lights on the water here and in the buildings. Thank you as always, everybody, for watching. Really appreciate your company. Always saying that, but really do mean it most sincerely. Thank you for being here and joining me today, and I hope you'll enjoy the photographs at the end of the video. And if you've got time, pop by next Monday for assignment number 41. Until then, happy crafting and have a great week. Bye bye now.